Snowflakes and Serendipity. The crisp winter air danced around Ellie as she stepped off the train, her breath forming soft clouds in the cold. She hugged her coat closer, the woolly scarf wrapped tightly around her neck as she scanned the small, snow-covered town of Pinehaven. The snowflakes, delicate and pristine, fell gently from the sky, adding a fresh layer to the already white-blanketed ground. Ellie had always loved winter, but this year was different. After a tough breakup and a series of disappointments, she needed to escape from the bustling city life, and Pinehaven seemed like the perfect retreat. She had read about the town in a travel magazine, boasting its charm during the winter months: ice skating on the frozen lake, hot cocoa by the fireplace, and the annual winter festival, which drew visitors from all over. But Ellie wasn't here for the festival. She needed time to herself, to reflect, and to perhaps find that elusive sense of peace she'd been searching for. Little did she know that this small town held more than just tranquility, it held fate. After checking into the cozy little inn near the town's center, Ellie decided to explore the area. The snow crunched under her boots as she wandered through the streets, admiring the quaint cottages adorned with twinkling lights and wreaths. Everything looked like it had been plucked straight out of a Christmas card. As she turned the corner, she spotted a small bookstore. The warmth emanating from its windows, along with the enticing aroma of freshly brewed coffee, drew her in. The bell above the door jingled softly as she entered, and a wave of warmth embraced her. "Welcome," called a voice from behind the counter. Ellie looked up to see a man, around her age, with dark tousled hair and a smile that could melt the coldest winter day. His eyes, a shade of blue that reminded her of the summer sky, twinkled as he greeted her. "Hi," Ellie replied, returning the smile. She wandered through the shelves, running her fingers along the spines of the books. The store was small, but filled with an eclectic mix of genres, from classic literature to contemporary romance. It was clear that the owner, whoever he was, had a passion for stories. "Are you looking for something in particular?" the man asked, coming around to stand beside her. "Not really," Ellie admitted. "I just love the smell of books. And coffee." He chuckled. "You're in the right place then. I'm Jack, by the way. I own this little slice of heaven." "Ellie," she introduced herself, feeling a strange but pleasant flutter in her chest. "This town is beautiful. I just arrived today." "Pinehaven has that effect on people," Jack said with a nod. "It's like time slows down here, and you can actually breathe." "That's exactly why I came," Ellie admitted. "I needed to get away from everything." Jack didn't pry, but there was an understanding in his gaze. "Well, you've come to the right place. Pinehaven is a town that takes care of its visitors. You might even find something, or someone you didn't expect." Ellie laughed lightly, brushing off the sudden warmth in her cheeks. "Maybe, but right now I'm just looking for a good book to curl up with." Jack smiled, and led her to a section filled with novels by local authors. "These are some of my favorites. There's something special about stories written here, as if the magic of this town seeps into the pages." Ellie selected a book at random, drawn by the simple, elegant cover. "This one looks perfect." "Great choice," Jack said, ringing her up at the counter. "Would you like a cup of coffee to go with that?" Ellie hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. "Why not?" As they sat by the window, sipping their hot drinks, the conversation flowed effortlessly. Ellie found herself sharing more than she had intended, about her life in the city, her failed relationship, and her desire to find herself again. Jack listened intently, offering just the right amount of empathy without pity. There was something about him that put Ellie at ease, as if they had known each other for much longer than just a few hours. The next few days passed in a blur of snow-covered streets, cozy fireside evenings, and long conversations with Jack Dad. Ellie had never felt so at home in a place so far from where she had grown up. There was a connection between them, one that went beyond mere attraction. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, at the exact moment they both needed someone to understand them. One afternoon, as they walked together by the frozen lake, Jack took Ellie's hand in his, the warmth of his touch contrasting with the icy air. "I'm really glad you came to Pinehaven, Ellie." "So am I," she replied, her heart pounding in her chest. The falling snow around them created a world of their own, isolated and beautiful. Jack stopped walking and turned to face her. I know this might sound crazy, but I feel like I've known you forever. Like we were meant to meet here in this town during this winter. Ellie's breath caught in her throat. She had been feeling the same way, but hadn't dared to voice it. I feel it too, Jack. It's like we were always meant to find each other. He smiled, his eyes locking with hers, and for a moment, everything else faded away. The cold, the snow, the world. Slowly, as if giving her time to pull away if she wanted to, Jack leaned in and kissed her. It was soft and gentle, yet filled with a promise of something deeper. When they finally pulled apart, Ellie knew that her life had changed. She had come to Pinehaven to find herself, but instead, she had found Jack. And in finding him, she had discovered a part of herself she hadn't even known was missing. The rest of the winter was a whirlwind of love and laughter. Jack introduced Ellie to the town's hidden gems, the best sledding hill, the most scenic hiking trails, and the coziest spots for hot chocolate. The townspeople, noticing the budding romance, welcomed Ellie with open arms, delighted to see Jack, their beloved bookstore owner, so happy. As the winter festival approached, Ellie felt a mix of excitement and sadness. Her time in Pinehaven was coming to an end, and she wasn't sure what would happen once she returned to the city. But Jack, sensing her unease, took her hand and reassured her. Pinehaven might be your escape, Ellie, but it doesn't have to be the end of us. We can make this work, wherever you are. Ellie smiled, her heart swelling with love for the man who had shown her that it was possible to find happiness again, even in the most unexpected places. On the night of the winter festival, with the town square aglow with lights and the air filled with the sound of carolers, Jack pulled Ellie close and whispered in her ear, I love you, Ellie. I've loved you since the moment you walked into my bookstore. Tears of joy filled Ellie's eyes as she responded, I love you too, Jack, more than I ever thought possible. And as they danced under the falling snow, surrounded by the warmth and love of Pinehaven, Ellie knew that she had found something truly special, something that would last far beyond the winter months. In Jack, she had found her forever, and Pinehaven would always be the place where their story began.
Whispers across the miles, a love beyond boundaries. The story begins with a serendipitous encounter that neither Emily nor Alexander could have predicted. In a world where digital communication reigns supreme, they found themselves drawn to an older, more intimate form of connection: letter writing. This unexpected journey of love began on a warm summer evening when Emily, a writer, found herself exploring an antique shop in a quaint English village. As she wandered through the aisles, her fingers brushed against a stack of old yellowed letters tied together with a delicate silk ribbon. Intrigued, she asked the shopkeeper about them. The elderly woman, with a knowing smile, explained that the letters had belonged to a couple who had written to each other during World War II. Emily, always a romantic at heart, was captivated by the idea of two souls connecting through words in a time of such uncertainty. On an impulse, she purchased the letters and took them home. That night, as the rain softly tapped against her window, Emily began to read the first letter. It was from a soldier, stationed far from home, writing to his beloved. His words were filled with longing, hope, and an unwavering love that seemed to transcend the pages. Moved by the emotion in the letters, Emily decided to write a letter herself, not to anyone in particular, but to the universe, expressing her thoughts, dreams, and deepest desires. She wrote about the kind of love she yearned for, one that was profound, enduring, and full of passion. Without much thought, she addressed it simply to my future love and slipped it into an envelope. In the days that followed, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that her letter needed to be sent somewhere. On a whim, She found an online pen pal service that connected people worldwide. She decided to send her letter to the first person who caught her attention, Alexander, a historian living in a small town in Scotland. Alexander received Emily's letter a few weeks later. Initially puzzled by the unexpected correspondence, he was soon captivated by her words. There was something raw and honest about the way she expressed herself, something that resonated deeply with him. Alexander, a man who had always preferred the company of books to people, found himself compelled to reply. He wrote back, sharing his own thoughts on love, life, and the simple pleasures that filled his days. He spoke of the rolling hills of Scotland, the ancient castles he often visited, and the quiet solitude of his life. But most importantly, he shared his longing for a connection that went beyond the superficial. Thus began a beautiful exchange of letters between Emily and Alexander. Each letter they wrote revealed more of their hearts, their hopes, and their fears. Through their words, they built a bridge between their worlds, one that grew stronger with each passing day. Months turned into years, and their letters became the highlight of their lives. They shared everything: joys, sorrows, and the little moments that made life meaningful. They fell in love with each other's minds, with the way they expressed themselves, and with the understanding that developed between them. Their letters were filled with poetry, quotes from their favorite books, and stories from their daily lives. As their connection deepened, they began to dream of meeting in person. Yet, there was also a fear that the magic they had created through their letters might not translate into the physical world. They had built a love that was pure and untarnished by the realities of everyday life, and the thought of losing that frightened them both. However, the pull of their love was too strong to resist. One crisp autumn morning, Alexander suggested they meet in Paris, a city known for its romance, where many love stories had begun. Emily agreed, and they set a date for the following spring. The months leading up to their meeting were filled with anticipation and anxiety. They continued to write, but there was an undercurrent of tension in their letters. Both feared that the reality of who they were might not live up to the idealized versions they had created in their minds. Finally, the day arrived. Emily stood by the Seine, her heart racing as she clutched the latest letter from Alexander in her hand. She had dressed in a simple, elegant dress, her hair swept up in a loose bun. She scanned the crowd, looking for the face she had imagined so many times. And then she saw him. Alexander was exactly as she had pictured, tall, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. But there was something more, something that no letter could have conveyed. A warmth, a kindness, a sense of familiarity that made her feel as if she had known him her entire life. They approached each other slowly, the world around them fading into the background. When they finally stood face to face, neither spoke. Instead, they simply looked at each other, the weight of their shared history heavy in the air. Then, without a word, Alexander took Emily's hand and led her to a nearby cafe. Over coffee and croissants, they talked about everything and nothing. The ease of their conversation, the way they finished each other's sentences, and the comfort they found in each other's presence confirmed what they had both feared to hope, that their love was real, not just a figment of their imagination. The days that followed were a whirlwind of exploration and discovery. They walked hand in hand through the streets of Paris, visited museums, and shared meals in cozy bistros. They laughed, teased, and even argued, but always with the knowledge that they had something special, something worth fighting for. As their time in Paris drew to a close, they faced the inevitable question: what next? They had built a life together through their letters, But now they had to figure out how to merge their separate worlds into one. The decision was not an easy one, but it was clear to both of them that they could no longer live apart. Emily decided to move to Scotland, where they would start their life together. It was a big change, but one she was ready for, knowing that Alexander would be by her side. They said goodbye to Paris with a promise to return every year to celebrate the city that had brought them together. Back in Scotland, they continued to write letters to each other, even though they were now living under the same roof. It was a tradition they refused to let go of, a reminder of how their love had begun. Their letters became a way to communicate their deepest thoughts and feelings, a practice that kept their love strong and vibrant. Years passed, and their love only grew stronger. They married in a small ceremony in the Scottish Highlands, surrounded by the people who had supported them throughout their journey. On their wedding day, they exchanged letters instead of vows, reading them aloud to each other in front of their guests. In time, they started a family, sharing their love of letters with their children, teaching them the importance of words and the power they held. Their home was filled with books, laughter, and of course, letters, reminders of the love that had brought them together. As they grew older, Emily and Alexander continued to write, their letters now filled with the wisdom that comes with age. They reflected on their journey, on the love that had sustained them through the years, and on the simple joys of their life together. One day, as they sat by the fire, Emily handed Alexander a letter. It was the same letter she had written all those years ago, addressed to my future love. Alexander smiled as he read it, his eyes filling with tears. He had never known about this letter, the one that had started it all. It was a reminder of how far they had come, and of the love that had been waiting for them, even before they had found each other. Their love story was one for the ages, a testament to the power of words, of patience, and of the belief that true love can conquer any distance. They had found each other through letters, and it was through those letters that they had built a life together, one filled with love, joy, and a connection that would last a lifetime. In the end, it wasn't just the letters that had brought them together. It was the love behind the words, the belief in each other, and the willingness to take a chance on something beautiful. And as they sat together, hand in hand, they knew that their love story was far from over. There were still letters to write, memories to create, and a love to nurture. A love that had begun with a simple letter and had grown into something extraordinary.
High School Romance. A Love to Remember. Chapter 1. A New Beginning. The bell rang loudly through the halls of Evergreen High School, signaling the start of a new school year. For many students, it was a day filled with excitement and nervous anticipation. For Emily Carter, it was another day to blend into the background. Emily was a junior, known for her quiet demeanor and her love for books. She kept to herself, preferring the company of her novels over the bustling social life of high school. As Emily walked to her locker, she couldn't help but notice the new boy standing at the end of the hallway. He had a confident air about him, with dark hair that fell into his eyes, and a smile that seemed to light up the room. She had never seen him before, but there was something about him that intrigued her. "Hey, Emily," called out her best friend Sarah, snapping her out of her thoughts. "Did you see the new guy? He's in our history class. His name is Jack Dawson." Emily nodded, trying to appear indifferent. "Yeah, I saw him. He seems interesting." Sarah laughed. "Interesting? He's gorgeous, and I heard he's really nice too. Maybe this year won't be so bad after all." Emily smiled, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Jack was going to change everything. Chapter 2. Unexpected Encounters. Days turned into weeks,
and Emily found herself stealing glances at Jack during history class. He was always surrounded by people, his easygoing nature and quick wit making him popular almost instantly. Emily tried to focus on her studies, but her mind kept drifting to Jack. One rainy afternoon, as Emily was hurrying to her car, she slipped on the wet pavement and fell hard on her knee. Pain shot through her leg, and she winced, trying to get up. Before she could move, a hand reached out to help her. "Are you okay?" Jack's concerned voice cut through the rain. He helped her to her feet, his touch gentle. "I'm fine," Emily said, trying to hide her embarrassment. "Just a little clumsy, I guess." Jack smiled. "Happens to the best of us. Do you need a ride home?" Emily hesitated, but then nodded. "That would be great, thanks." As they drove, they talked about school, their favorite books, and their dreams for the future. Emily was surprised at how easy it was to talk to Jack. He was genuinely interested in what she had to say, and for the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Chapter 3. Growing Closer. Over the next few months, Emily and Jack's friendship grew stronger. They spent hours talking, studying together, and sharing their favorite music. Emily found herself looking forward to their time together, her heart skipping a beat whenever he was near. One crisp autumn evening, Jack invited Emily to his house to watch a movie. They settled on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, the glow of the screen casting a warm light over the room. Halfway through the movie, Jack turned to Emily, his eyes serious. "Emily, I need to tell you something," he said softly. "I've liked you since the first day I saw you. You're different from anyone I've ever met, and I can't stop thinking about you." Emily's heart raced. She had dreamed of this moment but never thought it would actually happen. "I like you too, Jack," she whispered. Jack's face lit up with a smile, and he leaned in, gently pressing his lips to hers. It was a kiss, filled with promise and new beginnings, and Emily knew in that moment that her life had changed forever. Chapter 4. Facing Challenges. As winter set in, Emily and Jack's relationship blossomed. They spent their days laughing, exploring the town, and making memories. But high school is never without its challenges, and rumors started to spread about their relationship. One afternoon, Emily found herself cornered by a group of girls in the bathroom. "You really think Jack likes you?" sneered Lisa, the leader of the group. "You're nothing special." Emily's heart sank, but she stood her ground. "Jack likes me for who I am, and that's all that matters." When Jack found out about the incident, he was furious. "Don't let them get to you, Emily. You're amazing, and I'm lucky to have you." Together, they faced the challenges head on, their bond growing stronger with each obstacle. They learned to trust each other, to support each other, and to love each other despite the odds. Chapter 5. A Love to Remember. As graduation approached, Emily and Jack looked forward to the future with hope and excitement. They had plans to attend the same college, to continue building their lives together. On the night of their graduation, Jack took Emily to the place where they had first met, the spot where he had helped her up after she fell. "Emily," Jack said, taking her hands in his, "this is where it all began. And I want you to know that no matter where life takes us, I will always love you. You're my best friend, my confidant, and the love of my life." Tears filled Emily's eyes as she smiled at Jack. "I love you too, Jack. Forever and always." They sealed their promise with a kiss, the stars shining brightly above them. Their journey had only just begun, but they knew that with each other, they could face anything. Emily and Jack's love story was one for the ages, a tale of friendship, courage, and unwavering love. It was a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected encounters can lead to the most beautiful adventures. Chapter 6. Building a Future. College brought new experiences and challenges, but Emily and Jack faced them together. They navigated the pressures of academics, made new friends, and found ways to balance their busy schedules. Their love continued to grow, deepening with each passing day. One sunny afternoon, Jack took Emily on a surprise trip to the park where they often studied. He led her to a secluded spot by the lake, where a blanket and a picnic basket were waiting. "Emily, we've been through so much together," Jack began, his eyes filled with love. "You've been my rock, my partner, and my best friend. I can't imagine my life without you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Will you marry me?" Emily gasped, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Jack. 1,000 times yes." They embraced, their hearts filled with joy and anticipation for the future. Their engagement marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with dreams of a life together, of a family, and of growing old side by side. Chapter 7. Happily Ever After. Emily and Jack's wedding was a beautiful celebration of their love. Surrounded by family and friends, they exchanged vows and promised to support each other through all of life's ups and downs. Their love story, which had begun in the hallways of Evergreen High School, had blossomed into a lifelong commitment. Years passed, and Emily and Jack built a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. They traveled the world, explored new places, and created countless memories. Their love remained strong, a testament to the power of friendship and the beauty of finding one's soulmate. As they sat together on their porch, watching the sunset, Emily took Jack's hand. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Jack smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "We have, and I wouldn't change a thing. You're my forever, Emily." Their love story was one that would be told for generations, a reminder that true love is worth fighting for, and that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings can lead to the most beautiful endings. Emily and Jack had found their happily ever after, and their love continued to shine brightly, a beacon of hope and joy for all who knew them. This is a story of love, courage, and the beauty of finding your soulmate in the most unexpected places. Emily and Jack's journey reminds us that true love is worth fighting for, and that with each other, anything is possible.